Before you scroll, pause for a moment and hear this with your heart. Have you ever felt different, set apart, like life has been pressing you harder than the people around you? Have you ever wondered why your road has been so heavy, yet something inside you still refuses to quit? Then stay with me, because this message may explain what your spirit has been trying to tell you all along. Maybe the battles were not proof that you were forgotten. Maybe the delay was not denial. Maybe the quiet seasons were not emptiness. Maybe God was doing deep work where no one could see it. There are women whose lives carry a mark that cannot be copied, a grace that cannot be faked, and a strength that did not come from comfort. When God's favor rests on a woman, it does not always look loud. It does not always come with easy days, public applause, or fast success. Sometimes it looks like survival. Sometimes it looks like peace in chaos. Sometimes it looks like standing after a season that should have broken you. If that sounds like your life, don't leave now, because what you are about to hear could put language to your pain and purpose to your story. Listen closely. By the end of this message, you may stop calling yourself unlucky and finally see what heaven has been building in you this whole time. One clear sign that God's favor is on your life is this: you carry purpose before you ever carry recognition. Long before people notice your name, heaven already knows your assignment. Long before doors open in public, something is being built in private. That hidden season is not empty, it is full of shaping, full of training, full of quiet preparation. Many people think favor means instant visibility, but often favor begins in secret. It begins where no one is clapping, where no one is calling, where no one seems to understand what God is doing in you. But hidden does not mean rejected. Hidden means protected. A seed looks buried before it becomes a tree. A promise can look delayed before it becomes visible. And maybe that is where you are right now. Maybe you are in a season where you feel unseen, but in truth you are being covered. You are not being ignored by God. You are being formed by God. This is why your spirit has felt restless. This is why ordinary living has never fully satisfied you. There is something bigger tied to your life. There is a calling growing under the surface. Stay with me here because this matters. The quiet season is not your end. It is your beginning in disguise. God often works underground before he brings fruit above ground, and if he has kept you hidden, it may be because what you carry is too important to be revealed too soon. Look at how this pattern shows up again and again. Mary was not famous when she was chosen. Hannah was not celebrated when her heart cried out to God. Esther learned in hidden rooms before she ever stood in a palace. The pattern is clear. God often prepares a woman in silence before he reveals her in strength. So if people have overlooked you, do not let that become your definition. Heaven is not confused about who you are. The world may not see your value yet, but God is not late and he is not careless. He knows exactly when to reveal what he placed inside you. And until that moment comes, your task is not to force attention. Your task is to stay faithful, to keep growing, to keep listening, to keep becoming. This is where many women get tired. They start comparing. They start asking why someone else is being seen while they are still waiting. But favor does not begin with applause. It begins with obedience. It begins with surrender. It begins with trust. And if your life has felt unusually deep, unusually lonely, or unusually stretched, that may not be because something is wrong with you. It may be because something rare is being built in you. Do not hate your hidden years. Do not despise the slow work. What God shapes in private usually carries more weight in public. And when your time comes, it will not feel random. It will feel appointed. So breathe. Keep going. Your purpose was real before people noticed it. And it is still real now. Another sign is harder to talk about, but you know it well. You face battles that are difficult to explain. Trouble has come at you in strange ways. Pressure has shown up in seasons where you were trying to do right. You have had moments where you asked, why is life this intense? Why does it feel like the fight keeps finding me? But hear this carefully. Not every battle is proof that God has left you. Sometimes the fight is evidence that your life carries weight. Sometimes the attack comes because your future matters. Sometimes the pressure shows up because what is being formed in you is dangerous to darkness. That does not mean every hard thing is spiritual drama, but it does mean your pain may have a deeper meaning than you thought. Favor does not always remove fire. Sometimes favor gives you strength inside the fire. Sometimes it keeps you standing in days that should have crushed you. Think about Esther before the crown. Think about women who had to survive before they could lead. Think about the seasons where all you could do was breathe, pray, and make it through one more day. That survival was not small. That endurance was not ordinary. The tears were not wasted. The sleepless nights were not empty. God was using every hard season to deepen you, steady you, and prepare you for what is next. If this part is speaking to you, stay with me, because the pain you survived may be one of the clearest signs that your life is not common. There are women who think favor means no struggle, but that is not how many real stories unfold. Often the woman marked by God walks through storms that make no human sense, yet she comes out carrying more wisdom, more depth, and more compassion than before. She may bend, but she does not break. She may cry, but she still moves. She may feel tired, but she does not fully give up. That is not fake strength. That is holy endurance. And maybe that is your story. Maybe you kept your home together while your own heart was breaking. Maybe you stood in a hospital room and still whispered prayers. Maybe you smiled in public and cried in private, yet somehow God kept breath in your body and hope in your spirit. Do not call that luck. Do not call that mere survival. That is grace at work. That is favor carrying you when your own strength ran out. Listen carefully to this next line, because you need to hear it. The battle did not come to erase you. It came and God used it to reveal what was already in you. Strength, faith, fire, wisdom, dependence on Him. And yes, there are things in you now that were not there before the storm. The enemy may have meant pressure for destruction, but God has used it for formation. So do not read your pain as proof of failure. Read it as part of your making. Some women are introduced to their strength only because life gave them no other option but to discover it. And this leads to another strong sign. You have a divine ability to keep going. You rise again. You recover again. You believe again. That is not normal in a world that collapses under pressure. There is something sacred about a woman who has every reason to quit and still chooses one more step. She may not always look powerful, but power lives in her. She may not always speak loudly, but courage is in her bones. This is not shallow motivation. It is deeper than positive thinking. It is the kind of strength that comes from being held by God in ways words can barely explain. Ruth walked into an unknown future and kept moving. She did not see the full picture. She did not know who was waiting on the other side of her obedience. But she kept going. That is what chosen women do. They move forward by faith when sight gives them little comfort. They trust that the God who kept them yesterday will not fail them tomorrow. Maybe you have this same gift and never named it. Maybe your bounce back is not just personality. Maybe it is favor. Maybe the reason you keep getting back up is because God has placed holy stamina inside you. Even now, after everything you have seen, you are still here. Still praying, still hoping, still trying, still believing that your life means something. Do not overlook that. That is evidence. That is a mark. That is not weakness pretending to be strong. That is a woman being carried by grace, and grace has been holding you longer than you know. Take a moment and look back over your own life. There were days you thought would finish you, moments you thought you would never recover from. Yet here you are, not perfect, not untouched, but still standing, still breathing, still seeking God. That means something. You did not make it this far by your own cleverness alone. You were kept. You were sustained. You were strengthened in ways that people around you may never fully understand. And if God has kept you through that much, then do not insult His faithfulness by speaking over yourself like you are empty, abandoned, or forgotten. You are a woman with proof in your history, proof that grace meets you in the middle, proof that strength can be born in weakness, proof that hard chapters do not cancel a holy calling. So the next time you feel small because life has worn you down, remember this: even exhausted women can carry favor, even healing women can carry power. Even women who are still becoming can be deeply chosen by God. You do not have to look polished to be appointed. You do not have to have every answer to carry heaven's hand on your life. Sometimes the clearest sign is simply this: after all that came against you, you still did not stop. And if you are still listening, do not miss the next part, because this may explain why your timeline has never looked like everyone else's. A favored woman learns to live by God's timing, not the world's pressure. That changes everything. The world pushes, God prepares. The world says hurry, God says grow. The world asks why it has not happened yet. God asks whether you are ready for what you are asking for. This is why your path may have looked slower than expected. This is why some doors stayed closed. This is why certain plans fell apart even though they made sense to you at the time. Delay is not always denial. Sometimes delay is protection. Sometimes it is mercy. Sometimes it is the hand of God saving your future from your impatience. Sarah and Elizabeth both knew what it meant to wait beyond the point where people thought hope was reasonable. Yet what looked late to others was still right on time in the plan of God. If your life has not matched the usual milestones, do not let shame talk louder than truth. You are not behind. You are on a different schedule, one shaped by wisdom bigger than your own. This is hard, yes. Waiting can be painful. It can make you question yourself. It can make other people's voices feel loud. But a chosen woman learns not to measure her worth by likes, timelines, age, pressure, or comparison. She learns to trust that God knows when to open the right door, and when He does, what looked delayed will suddenly make sense. So stop calling yourself late when heaven calls you prepared. Stop carrying timelines that God never asked you to carry. Trust the pace of your becoming. Waiting is not passive when it is done with faith. Waiting can be worship. Waiting can be training. Waiting can be spiritual resistance against panic, fear, and comparison. There is strength in a woman who does not settle just because she is tired of waiting. There is wisdom in a woman who refuses to force what God has not blessed. That kind of restraint is powerful. That kind of patience is rare. And if you have been in a season where your plans keep shifting, where your yes has been slowed down, where your breakthrough has taken longer than you hoped, hear this. Maybe God is not punishing you. Maybe He is aligning things in a way you cannot see yet. Maybe He is protecting your peace, refining your motive, deepening your roots, and making sure that what comes next will not crush you because you were unprepared for it. This is why you must not let pressure make your decisions for you. Pressure is loud, but wisdom is steady. Pressure wants quick relief. God wants lasting fruit. So if you feel the weight of people asking when, why, how long, do not bow to that noise. Your life is not a race against other people. Your story is not a public contest. Your clock is in the hands of the one who made you. And when the moment is right, what belongs to you will not need to be chased with desperation. It will open with peace. It will come with clarity. It will carry confirmation. Keep that in your spirit because the next sign is one many women miss even though everyone around them feels it. A woman favored by God often brings calm wherever she goes. Not fake calm. Not weak silence. Real peace. Deep peace. The kind that shifts a room without demanding attention. She does not simply react to the atmosphere around her. She helps change it. She walks into tense places and carries steadiness. She speaks into confusion and brings wisdom. She knows how to be firm without becoming cruel and gentle without becoming powerless. That is rare. Abigail showed this kind of grace. In the middle of danger and foolishness, she moved with wisdom and stopped disaster before it grew. Some women do not even realize they carry the same gift. They think they are just trying to hold things together, but in truth, they are peace carriers. They are the ones who stop cycles of damage in families. They are the ones who calm storms with discernment, prayer, and self-control. If people feel safer after talking to you, if your presence settles panic, if your words often carry healing when others only add noise, do not overlook that. That is not small. That is spiritual weight. The world celebrates loud reactions, but heaven values holy steadiness. Emotional maturity is not weakness. It is strength under control. And yes, it takes power to stay anchored when everything around you is shaking. So ask yourself honestly, what follows me into a room? Confusion or clarity? Fear or peace? Because a favored woman leaves more than an impression. She leaves an atmosphere changed by the presence of God on her life. This kind of peace does not mean she has never suffered. In fact, often it is the opposite. The calm she carries was born in fire. The wisdom in her voice was formed in pain. The gentleness she offers others is not naive. It is costly. She learned it through hard places, through prayer, through healing, through choosing not to become bitter. That is why her peace has authority. It is not decoration. It is victory. And if you are this woman, the enemy would love for you to see your calm as ordinary. He would love for you to think your self-control is boring and your discernment is small. But the truth is, there is power in the woman who does not let chaos train her to become chaos. There is authority in the woman who can stay soft without becoming fragile and stay strong without becoming harsh. Your peace may be one of the loudest things about you in the spirit, even if your personality is quiet. So do not envy people who make noise if God has called you to carry weight. Not every assignment needs a spotlight. Some assignments need a stable heart, a clean spirit, and a wise mouth. If that is you, honor it, protect it, grow it. Because peace is not just a personality trait when God has breathed on it. It becomes ministry. It becomes protection for others. It becomes evidence that heaven has shaped the way you walk through this world. Another sign is that unusual provision shows up in your life and doors open in ways that cannot be fully explained by human logic. This does not mean your life has no struggle. It means God has a way of making room for you that people cannot always trace. Favor can look like help arriving at the right time. It can look like needs being met after impossible seasons. It can look like opportunities opening when your resume should not have been enough. It can look like restoration after loss, strength after burnout, and resources showing up after you thought the answer was no. The Shunammite woman made room for the presence of God, and her simple act of honor turned into a place of miracle. That is how favor often works. It meets faithfulness. It responds to obedience. It flows toward a heart that makes room for God. Some women chase blessings so hard that they forget the deeper secret. Blessings are not the center. God is. And when a woman orders her life around him, favor begins to touch things that logic cannot fully control. Jobs open. Healing begins. Helpers appear. Peace comes back. Direction returns. This is not about performance. It is about posture. Favor is not bribed by talent, it is welcomed by trust. So if your life has seen moments where God made a way that no one can explain, stop calling it coincidence. Start recognizing the pattern. You have been shielded more than you knew. You have been helped more than you realized. You have been carried by a hand stronger than your own. Still, favor is not magic for ego. It is not given so a woman can boast, dominate, or act like she made herself. Real favor humbles you. Real favor makes you grateful. A woman truly touched by God does not use her blessings only to magnify herself. She uses them to point upward. Mary's response was worship, not self-glory. That is the sound of real favor. Gratitude, awe, surrender. When God can trust a woman to stay humble, he can place more in her hands without losing her heart. But when pride grows, clarity fades. That is why humility matters so much. The favored woman remembers where her strength came from. She remembers who carried her through closed doors, private tears, and impossible seasons. She knows that whatever beauty, wisdom, influence, success, healing, or peace she carries has all flowed through grace. And because she knows that, she does not spend her whole life trying to build an altar to herself. She wants her life to reflect God's goodness. She wants the fruit on her tree to make people hunger for God, not just admire her image. That is a different spirit. In a culture obsessed with self-promotion, she chooses substance. In a world hungry for attention, she chooses obedience. And that may be another sign on your life. If success has made you softer before God instead of harder, if open doors have made you more grateful instead of more proud, if influence has deepened your reverence instead of feeding your ego, then that is a beautiful sign that heaven can trust you. So let this settle in your heart now. If your life has carried hidden purpose, unusual battles, deep endurance, strange delays, peace in pressure, uncommon provision, and a desire to give God the glory instead of stealing it for yourself, then you should stop talking about yourself like you are abandoned. Those are not random details. Those are signs. And maybe this whole message has been a mirror for your spirit. Maybe this is why you have always felt that your life could not be explained by surface answers. Because what is on you is deeper than that. You are not just trying to survive another year. You are being called to rise with intention, to walk with boldness, to move with peace, to trust God more than public opinion, to stop shrinking back because people fail to recognize what heaven already confirmed. Hear me clearly. You do not need the crowd's approval when God has already placed his hand on your life. You do not need to force what he has already assigned. You do not need to live panicked, performing, pretending, or begging for scraps of validation. What God has marked for you will not require you to become less than who He called you to be. So stand up in your spirit. Let this truth become the way you walk. Let it change how you pray, how you wait, how you speak, and how you see yourself. And stay with this final part, because this is where the message must become personal. As you move into this next season, do not second guess the call just because the path has been hard. Do not let delay make you doubt what God already spoke over your life. Do not let other people's opinions become louder than heaven's truth. You are not invisible. You are not a mistake. You are not forgotten in some corner of life while everyone else moves ahead. You are being developed. Every closed door taught you something. Every waiting season built something. Every hard chapter shaped something. And what should have destroyed you has become part of your testimony. So rise with that understanding. Speak life over yourself. Love with courage. Forgive with strength. Worship with boldness. Keep showing up. Keep sowing. Keep believing. Because in the right moment, fruit will appear from all the faith you planted in tears. Let this be your prayer as the message closes. Lord, thank you for choosing me, even in seasons when I did not understand what you were doing. Thank you for keeping me, carrying me, correcting me, and covering me. Teach me to trust your will more than my fear, your timing more than my pressure, and your voice more than the noise around me. Let my life reflect your grace, your power, and your love. And if this message found you at the right time, do not ignore that. Hold it close. Return to it when you feel weak. Remember it when doubt speaks. You are a woman marked by purpose, carried by grace, and favored by God. Now walk like it,